the right training for believers. In the name of God, the all-merciful, the all-compassionate, surely God is with those who refrain from disobeying him, in awe of him, and who do good deeds, as if they saw him. Chapter 16, verse 128. If you want to see what a truly human duty and what a natural, proper result of the creation of humanity it is to perform the prescribed prayers and avoid major sins, consider the following parable. During a war, two privates find themselves in a regiment, one well-trained and conscientious, and the other a recruit and a slave to his carnal self. The well-trained, conscientious one attends training exercises and struggles against the enemy without ever worrying about rations and allowances, because he knows it is the government's duty to supply the necessary military equipment, food, and when necessary, medical care. All he has to do is train for war and fighting for the country. However, he also helps out by supplying food and working in the kitchen. When asked what he's doing, he responds, "Some of the state's chores." He does not say he's working for his living. But the other soldier does not train or fight, for it's none of my business. It's a government matter. He only cares about his livelihood and so deserts his regiment and goes to the marketplace to do shopping. His well-trained friend advises him, "Brother, you're supposed to be training to fight for the country. That's why you're here. The government will meet your needs because that's its duty. You can't meet all your needs regardless of time or place. As we're in a state of war, you might be accused of desertion or rebellion and be punished. There are two duties. One is the government's and the other is ours. The government meets our needs, for which we also work to a certain extent. Our duty is to prepare for fighting and to fight when necessary, with which the government helps us greatly." Imagine what trouble the second soldier will be in if he ignores his friend's words. Oh, my indolent soul! The turbulent battlefield represents our tumultuous worldly life. The army divided into regiments represents humanity divided into nations. That particular regiment stands for the Muslim community in this century. One soldier is a devout and pious Muslim who knows what he is asked to do and so does the obligatory religious duties and avoids major sins, and struggles against his self and Satan in order not to commit other sins. The other soldier is a sinful loser who is so obsessed with working for his livelihood as to accuse the true bestower of provision, and so does not perform his religiously obligatory duties and commits many sins recklessly for the sake of earning his life. Training represents the duties of worship, including especially the prescribed prayers. The war stands for struggling against the carnal, evil commanding soul and its lusts, and against the Satans among the jinn and humanity, in order to be able to keep distant from sins and despicable morals and to save the heart and spirit from eternal perdition. As for the duties, the first is giving life and maintaining it, while the other is worshiping and beseeching the one who gives and maintains life, and trusting in him. Only he who gives life, a most brilliant miracle of the eternally besought one's art and a wonder of the Lord's wisdom, sustains life with provision. Do you need convincing? The weakest and simplest animals are the best fed, like fish and worms and fruit. The least capable and most vulnerable creatures, such as babies or newborn animals, get the best food. It is enough to compare fish with foxes, the newborn with wild beasts, and trees with animals, in order to understand that the procurement of fundamental, lawful food depends on neediness and impotence rather than power and will. So, those who ignore the prescribed prayers to pursue their livelihood are like the soldier who neglects his exercises, deserts the front for fear of hunger, and wanders around the marketplace. However, seeking one's rations from the kitchen of the all-munificent provider's mercy after praying, and not burdening others is fine and proper. This too is a kind of worship. Furthermore, our nature and spiritual being demonstrate that we are created to worship God. For in respect of our physical power and capability necessary for our worldly life, we cannot compete, even with sparrows. But in respect of our knowledge, necessary for our spiritual life and hereafter, and of understanding our neediness and supplication and worship, we are the king and commander of all animate creatures. Oh, my soul, if you consider this world your major goal and work for it, you will remain only a soldier with no more control over your affairs than a sparrow. But if you make the life of the hereafter your aim, and make this life of the world the means of it and a field to be sown for it, and act accordingly, you will become the ruler of the animal kingdom, a beloved, supplicant servant of God Almighty, and his favored and honored guest in this world. You can choose either option, so ask for guidance and success on his way from the most merciful of the merciful.